have the Dark Side series by Christy Cunning. This was a very interesting, very unique series. The girl's name, and I don't know if I should tell you her name, because the first book is more of a mystery about, because she doesn't know who she is. She is like this ghost type of figure who is like haunting, but she doesn't really haunt. They don't know she's there. But she's this ghost type of figure that can see them, but they cannot see her. And she's like tied to them. She has to always be close to them, or she feels herself like drifting off into nothing. So she doesn't know who she is. She's like haunts them or whatever, hangs around them for 5 years before she's ever able to do anything physically, like she finally is able to like touch the floor or stand on the floor, or you know, things like that, where she's just not like in thin air. But over the course of the 4 books, it's 4 psychos, 3 trials, 2 kingdoms, and 1 apocalypse. There's 4 guys in her harem. They eventually find out who they are and who she is, and I cannot tell you because it's such a big spoiler. So it's really hard to tell you about this series, but it is really interesting. I really enjoyed reading it. It was a lot of fun. The next series is the Cruel Black Heart series by Candice Wondrak. This is a pretty dark series. This has to do with murderers, serial killers, just a lot of killing in this series. So the girl is Stella, and she is like she writes articles for this magazine, and her articles are serial killer based. She's always been very infatuated with serial killers, how they think, how their minds work, just what drives them to do what they do. And so she writes these articles about serial killers. Well, it attracts the attention of these 2 killers. Their names are Lincoln and Edward. They used to work for Lincoln's family, which is like their family is like a group of assassins. People hire them to take out other people. And but their family is kind of like, well, if we do this for you, you have to work for us. And they kind of got tired of working for his family, so they kind of drifted off on their own. And they found Stella through her articles. And Edward is the more like lighthearted, upbeat guy, whereas Lincoln is very dark and brooding. And Edward, you know, he meets her first, and then he brings her back, and it's a relationship that she starts with both Edward and Lincoln. And then later on, a serial killer, like a real serial killer, comes into the mix. So then it's harem with her and all 3 of them. And the books in this series are Cruel Black Hearts, Cold Dark Souls, Sick Twisted Minds, and Vile Wicked Eyes. You do have to go into the series with a grain of salt, because it's like, I would never condone this in real life. This was just an entertaining series to read. Of course, anything like this in real life would be horrific. So just let that be known. I did read like a short novella, and this was recommended by Bree from In Love and Words, so shout out to her for this book. I cannot take credit for finding this on my own, but this is by, I actually don't have the author's name written down, so I'll have it, you know, listed up here, but it's Power Tools. It's the Power Tools series, and I read the first book in it, and it's Kate's Crew. This is just a short book about this girl who has been kind of like spying on this construction crew that's been working on this house next door to hers, and she really finds them all attractive, and they end up having a group. They end up all being together, which she does finally end up with one guy out of the group, but they all do experience a group session, if you will. So I had to include that in here because technically it would be reverse harem. The next book I have is Surviving Amber Springs by Sahoban Davis. This is a standalone, and this centers around the girl. Her name is Blair, and she and her parents have moved to this new neighborhood because she was bullied or harassed or something at their school. Something happened to her where her twin brother went a little crazy, and he went to the school with a gun to shoot, and they ended up killing him. So, or he killed himself, I can't remember, but her brother is dead. They've been getting because all he's known is as a school shooter, and there was much more to him. He was just trying to protect his sister, and they have to move to a completely different state, and to try to hide themselves because everybody hates them so much. Her parents have lost their jobs. Life has gone to crap, and they're dealing with the grief of losing her brother, their son. So they move to this new place. She meets these three guys, Axel, Skeet, and Heath, and they go to the school where she goes, and she doesn't tell them, who she used to be and all that, because they're trying to keep this tight under wraps, keep this a secret. I think they might have even changed their name to try to be, keep their identity from being known, but it does eventually come out. And she takes this very hard. There is attempted suicide in this book as well, so let that be known. And it's her story of overcoming all this grief in her life, and these three guys are really good to her. They help her through it, and it was just a really good book. I enjoyed reading it. The next series is The Bullets by Coraline June. This is about a girl named Sunshine. So it has been a long time since I read this series, but this girl, she goes off with her guys Gav, Callum, Blaze, and Riker. They're like a mafia type of sort of situation where they are, first it starts off when they're pretty young, and I think it goes up as they get older. If I'm not mistaken, it's been a really long time since I read this, but I wrote it down because I did enjoy it a lot. The first one is Sunshine and Bullets, and the second one is Summer and Smoke, and the third one is Love and Lead. And so this just shows her with them as they go through all of these dangerous situations. Of course, this is another very action-packed series, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was really entertaining. The newest reverse harem I've read is Den of Vipers by K.A. Knight. This is a standalone book, and it is huge. I think it was a little long. There at the end I was kind of skimming because to me it was a little too long. I think she could have shortened it a bit, but it was still a pretty entertaining read. This is about a girl the girl's name is Roxy, and her dad is horrible because he has this gambling addiction, and he is so far in debt, and so he sells her to these guys. He says, well, that's all I have, so just take my daughter for my payment. And so these guys send in their men to go get her. Well, she's not about to let them come take her. She owns her own bar, and she has her trusty baseball bat, and she takes like 3 guys out by herself. So the main guys, and the guys' names are Ryder, Garrett, Diesel, and Kenzo, and they come and get her themselves. She tries to take them out as well, but she can't take them all. So they end up taking her back to where they live. She's pretty much like their prisoner at first, which they don't treat her horribly. They're just, she is theirs now because that was their payment, her dad's payment. and which they of course find totally ridiculous, and they know that her dad is not a good guy for pretty much selling his daughter to pay his debts. So she's living there with them, and you see their everyday interactions with each other, and they start to grow on each other, and this is their romance. But it's very each of the guys has a very distinctive sort of personality, and there is like one of them is completely crazy. Like the steamy scenes of them is really like crazy. There's knives and guns and everything you can imagine. It is crazy. So take this again with a grain of salt. It's not something that I would condone in real life, but this is a fiction book that is read for fun. The next book I have is Encore by Lane Hart. This is a standalone also. This is about a girl named Tessa, and she works for like this recording company, and she is sent to go help this band out because this band is struggling. They haven't been coming up with any new music. They're losing money, and so they send her to go help this band out. They're officially off tour now, so they're on their own time. And she goes to try to, do whatever she can to help this band come back together and be great again. And the guys in the band are Ford, Clark, Bennett, and David. And she goes and lives with them. She has to like help one of them get off of alcohol because he's an alcoholic. So there's a lot of detoxing with him. There's one that's like a loner. And of course, he really didn't want to share her with his other bandmates, but he finally came around to the idea. All the band members were kind of, they really didn't want anything to do with each other much anymore. They were so sick of being around each other. And so she is the one that kind of brings them all back together again. It was a cute story. I really enjoyed it. The next series is actually a duet. It's the Phoenix Project Duet by Candace M. Wright. This is about a girl named Cam, and she is sick with this terminal illness. And there is this organization that has contacted her and said, if you will let us experiment on you and give you this experimental drug, we will pay your family, like it was like $1 million, because all these people that they're recruiting have these terminal illnesses that they're going to die. There's nothing else that they can do for them, so they'd rather die and leave their family with money. And so she signs up for this because she wants her brother to be taken care of. And she has like no hair, and she's very skinny because she's very sick, so she looks like a boy. They put her in the boys' dorm, which she does tell them, hey, I'm a girl, but the people running the place, but they don't really care or listen to her. They tell her just to stay where she's at. So she's in this dorm full of boys, and so she has to hide her identity because she's so afraid. There's actually especially one in the dorm that is from a prison, and he's there for assault on girls, and so she really feels like she needs to hide her identity and to protect herself. But her identity does be known pretty quickly, but that she's a girl instead of a boy. But she enters into this friendship, which then leads later on into, of course, her relationship with these guys. I can't remember the names of the other guys, but I do remember the name of her like main guy, which is Fox, and he was the one that was like, he was very protective of her even when he thought she was a boy. So that was like the main one. I cannot remember any of the other names, but it was a pretty interesting duet. It was from the ashes and from the fire, because it does end up, they discover secrets of this organization. The organization isn't doing what they're supposed to be doing. and they're fighting back against this organization. So it was very entertaining. And the last series I have is the Mirage Raffle series by Stacia Black. This was so enjoyable. When I read the first book, I binge read all of them. They were very enjoyable. The first one is Theirs to Protect. This follows a girl. This is like a dystopian type of future. So I don't remember exactly what happened to the United States. I think it was nuclear bombs and, oh yes, and a disease that spread that pretty much killed off all the women. And only a few, you know, there are not very many women left. So the remaining women left are highly prized, very by the good guys really want to take care of the women because there are not very many left, but the bad guys are, you know, they see a profit in finding women. So she has been in hiding with her brother and her uncle in like an underground bunker, but something happens to where her and her brother have to leave. They've heard of this land called No Man's Land. It's like an island that they're telling all the women to come to, that they'll be protected, so they want to find it. On the way, something happens to her brother where she's left alone. So now she is rescued by these guys and she's taken to this fort. And the commander of the fort has set up the system of trying to keep peace between everybody and have more protection on the women. The women can be entered into this raffle. So there is one woman for every 5 guys, I think. I think it's every 5 guys. And these men have to go through this rigorous testing, and you know, they don't just let anybody's names be in the drawing, but then they draw 5 guys' names, and then those are her husbands, and then she gets married to them and they're a family. So she is entered into this raffle, and she has now 5 husbands, and that is the theme for each book. Each book is about a different girl and their journey of different things happen to each girl. So it was a very interesting and unique type of world. This is like, you know, a futuristic dystopian type of future. So very interesting. The books are Theirs to Protect, Their Honeymoon, which is the like novella off of the first one, Theirs to Pleasure, Their Bride, Theirs to Defy, and Theirs to Ransom. So those are all the books in that series. There is another series that I want to recommend to you, but I have not finished it. There's 3 books in the series. I've read the first 2, but I haven't read the 3rd one yet because I am currently reading other books. But I want to go ahead and include it in this video. It is the Project Adapt series, and this is an alien reverse harem series. So this is about a girl who, these type of aliens called the Yarkans has destroyed Earth and taken the females, and they have them as sex slaves. But they're also doing experiments on them, and this girl, what's her name? Serena. She is like a hybrid that they have made because they're trying to make better, you know, they're trying to save this type of alien species is going extinct, so they're trying to save themselves. So they're trying to make her they're trying to make a creature to adapt that she can take on like their characteristics and what they are to carry on their species. But she is rescued and she enters into this harem. There are different types of aliens in this world. One of the guys in her harem, her like fated mate, which is, he calls her his Nova because he is an Aldawi. It's like a cat alien. He's like a man, but he has cat features. So he has ears, fur, tail. He has hands that are like hands/paws, and he purrs. And that's like their fated mates. But she also is She's like a nest queen for these other types of aliens. Xylo is like a plant alien. He has grassy hair, moss on his shoulders. He has vines with flowers on them. And then there's the other one. What was his name? Oh, I can't remember his name. He was like this creature that has like tentacles, and he can swim really well. And I think his skin is, oh, they change colors like on whatever like mood they're in. And it was very very interesting book. I really enjoyed it. I've read the first book, which is Found, and the second book, which is Achieve. I do plan to read the third one when I can, but I had to include that in this video as well. So those are all the Reverse Harem series and books that I have to recommend to you at this time. Of course, I'll be reading more. I always love reading Reverse Harem books. Hopefully before too long, I'll have more Reverse Harem books to recommend to you guys. But for now, that is all. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope you can find some good books to read. Let me know if you've read any of them, or if you have Reverse Harem books to recommend, because I am always looking for good Reverse Harem series or standalones to read. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.